So, the issue we're talking about today is what are pastors facing post pandemic? And Dave, you deal with pastors all the time. What are some of the biggest issues that they're facing right now?
Yeah, I think the interesting thing that happened, my assessment would be, and actually we joined full time during COVID. So we transitioned out of our church, pastoring in Michigan. Actually, we made the decision, we made the announcement at the end of 2019, and then we kind of had a few months to try to ramp up, and then that's when COVID hit. But we still transitioned out, and I think I would have said prior to COVID, a lot of pastors were hanging on for dear life, but they could make it. They can, pragmatically, functionally, they could get by, but they're struggling. I think COVID was kind of like if you've got a bunch of twigs on the ground and you drop a big log and a big oak log on top of them, and it just kind of crushes them. I think COVID, what it did was it was more than what they could handle. They made it through it. I think a lot of guys, I mean, you look back at the creativity of some guys. I mean, even I'm not a techie, so I know what we did. I went to Walmart, I bought a little tripod, and I stuck my little Samsung phone on this tripod, and I did Facebook Live worship services. So we figured it out. But I think the consequences coming out of that are that basically you're restarting a lot of churches from organizing and just thinking through, processing through, because so many people left, didn't come back. Things changed technologically, things changed, and so I think the pastor that was maybe at the end of his rope has just kind of struggled to kind of get back up. I think what we've seen, and you can look at some of the statistics where so many guys are stepping out of ministry and kind of done, or they're just kind of checked out in their own right. And so I think that's a lot of the things that they're dealing with post the pandemic is just trying to think about how do we reorganize, it's kind of like a bomb went off, and now we got to figure out who's left, who's here, what are we doing, and how do we restart. And honestly, I mean, we love pastors. I mean, I was a pastor 20 years. Most pastors, this is not a knock on them, it's just how God has wired them. Most pastors are like in the moment of the week. Sunday's coming. I gotta make hospital visits. I gotta write a message or two or three or more, and I gotta deal with complaints and things. And most pastors don't have the ability to pull up to the 30,000 foot level to figure out where are we going, what are we doing, how are we gonna get there. And so they're just plodding along and they're just trying to make it. And so I think the struggles for them is to say, how do I actually humble myself to get help, to say I need some help, come alongside of us. And I think that's what they're struggling with. I think they're struggling with one of the other things I think that they're struggling with, and at some point I think I'm going to write an article on this. But I think one of the things that's happening is social media is having a drastic impact on our pastors and even church people. I think God has designed us to be able to handle personally. We can do 4 or 5 or 6 things really, really well. Maybe some of us have more bandwidth, but let's just say it's 4 to 6 things that we can do really well. And a church probably has 4 to 6 things that it does really well. The problem is we flip through Instagram, flip through Facebook, we flip through all the social media, and we see, oh, Revolve Bible Church is doing that. We should do that. Then we look at that church is doing this. And now, before we know it, we've stacked 1,000 things onto the expectation
Yeah.
list that we now think we have to do both personally as a pastor and then corporately as a church. And I think that is killing us. And that is actually unbiblical because God didn't call us or design us or equip us to do that. And so I think the social media stuff, although there's a great benefit to it, is awesome. But I think we've got to be really careful how we should instead of looking like if I'm scrolling through and I see something that Revolve Bible Church does, instead of looking at that and going, oh, I should be doing that, we should actually just say, wow, that's great and awesome that God is letting them do that. And I don't need to be Revolve Bible Church along with 5,000 other churches out there and putting that weight and that pressure. And so I think that's a lot of the underlying issues that pastors are going through.